Welcome to Inside the IGB or Dentro del Beat, a space where we open our doors to you and tell you a little bit about how life is in our organization. My name is Carolina Serra. I'm the head of human resources, and my pronouns are she and her. And I'm excited to share this afternoon with Brett Copeland, André Diniz, and Elizabeth Bedoya Turner. As an organization, we take pride in making our LGBTQ plus inclusive efforts part of our ambitious diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy, where we are approaching these topics with an intersectional lens. As many of you know, June is Pride Month, and it's a great opportunity to highlight the experience of the LGBTQ plus employees at the IGB Group. To begin, I would like to provide some context to our audience on what Pride Month represents and the history behind it. So Pride Month commemorates the anniversary of the first Pride Parade, which happened 1 year after the Stonewall Uprising demonstrations that marked the beginning of the gay rights movement. It is an important celebration to take part in because not only does it commemorate culture and history, but also pride in individual identity and all the people that come before as well. Before I start, I want to encourage our audience to send your questions, and we will answer a few of them at the end of this broadcast. So my first question goes to Brett. So Brett, I would like to start with you. What does pride mean to you?
Carolina, thank you. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Brett Copeland. I'm gay, and I go by I use the pronouns he, him, his, and I'm really excited to be able to have a conversation. You know, pride has a lot of meanings for me, and kind of the first and most obvious is what you just gave us a little background on, Carolina, and that's the meaning of what we're doing today and what we're recognizing this month during Pride Month, which is, what the people who've come before us, the members and allies of the LGBTQ plus community have done, their successes, but there's also the recognition of what we have left to do. And so there's that combination of giving thanks, recognizing the accomplishments, recognizing the work that's given me the ability to accomplish what I've accomplished, but also recognizing that there are others who weren't so lucky and also need our help. So, as I say that, it sounds a little like Thanksgiving. I'd like to move, as I talk about what pride means to me personally, I'm going to change from pride as a noun to proud as an adjective, because it's just a little easier for me to tell my story that way. I grew up in a very small agricultural community in South Georgia. And I grew up in a great family. And I never had that aha coming out moment. It was kind of a slow evolution and growth, both for myself and my family. And, when I finally realized what was going on, we all kind of realized it together. And, this is why I wanted to use the word proud. I'm proud that my family didn't just tolerate me. They didn't just accept me. They were proud. And that meant so much. So then I stepped out and got my life going. And I stepped out of that and I realized, things are a little different out here. And I realized that I grew up, I think, in a little bubble. And I was lucky enough to do that. And I was very... I was confused, and then I took some time and thought about what do I need to do, and the best way I could deal with this was to, how do I build a bigger bubble? That's kind of alliterative, but how do I bring that along? How do I pull that with me? Because I needed it. And it's amazing that, pride in yourself, and I'm preaching to the choir here because we've all gone through this. Pride in yourself only goes so far, but you also need other people to be proud of you as well. And as I considered, how do I make my way? How do I get what I need, but also how do I share what I have? It became an aspect of authenticity and how do I tell a story? I'm from the South, I tell stories. So I started looking and dealing with how do I tell the story? How do I engage? How am I authentic? It's interesting. And then I kind of stumbled on the Inter-American Development Bank. And the reason I go to that is I've been at the bank 32 years, which is just over half my life. And so it's a huge part, and it's the other family I have. And as I searched for ways to keep the pride I have, but the ways to discover how I could leverage and build on that pride and offer and contribute to others. I remember one thing that was very impactful to me is when I signed my contract with the Inter-American Development Bank. And this was back in the late 90s. And I sat down and I had no idea what to expect. But as I was filling it out, I ran across this box where I could indicate a domestic partner. This was back before gay marriage was even talked about and domestic partnerships were rare. But I was in an employer who allowed me to check that box and put my now spouse's name in that box, and how impactful that was and how validating and how it really passed the message that the bank valued, respected me. So my authentic self kind of came alive. And it's interesting. It became very symbiotic. I needed things from the institution as I need from my friends, as I need from my family, but I also had a lot to offer. And, I had a lot to offer to the bank in the aspects of my experience and the aspects of my, my talents, the aspects of decorating advice, which I can say because I'm a gay architect. So, there was a lot to offer there. And it has been an incredible journey of sharing and somewhat taking. I'm not going to admit that they're not things that I personally need in order to be satisfied, that I need in order to stay proud, that I need in order to stay authentic. But I do, one of the proudest things about the way and where I found myself is, the ability to share things and to help others through my experience. And for instance, Reina's email yesterday to everyone about pronoun usage, I shared that with so many friends, and there are a lot of institutions that we would think would be very, very progressive and positive, but I cannot tell you the responses that came back about, wow, that's amazing. What a great message to deliver. So those little things, those making the connections, those things that we can share. And I'm pulling up my phone right now because in closing, I do want to highlight something though, that in every job posting that the IDB does, it ends with a phrase, because we are committed to providing equal opportunities in employment. We embrace all diversity and encourage women, LGBTQ plus persons with disabilities, Afro-descendants, and Indigenous people to apply. This isn't a passive, we do not discriminate. This is an active, we encourage, we invite. And, again, I've been at the bank a long time. I am proud of what I've been able to contribute to the bank, and I'm very proud of how the bank has contributed to where I am today. And this isn't a commercial for the Inter-American Development Bank. It's just my story and where I happen to find myself through this journey that's been really amazing, and I'm happy to share it. So, talk too much, Carolina. I'm going to turn it over back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brett, for sharing your stories. And it is a commercial for the talents to apply for the bank and see that we are an inclusive bank, and we are proud of being inclusive and to foster this environment and this community. So we recognize the importance of the Pride Month to learn, celebrate, and reinforce our commitment in allowing our employees to bring their authentic selves to work. So Pride is an important celebration of LGBTQ plus rights, but being out, it's not always an option for everyone. André, share with us, in your opinion, how have you achieved a sense of belonging at the IDB, and what initiatives has the IDB Globe as a resource group implemented to drive this?
Thank you, Carolina, and thank you everybody for joining us in this such important event today. My name is Andre. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am the Vice President of the IDB Globe, the LGBT group of the IDB. Just to put you in a context, our group has over 200 people, including our members of the community and our allies. So today, I want to share with you how I can be my own self at work and the importance of the sense of belonging. Before joining the IDB, I used to hide my sexuality completely and live a double life, never sharing anything personal and feeling afraid of being discovered. That was the tone of my whole career. After joining the IDB in 2016 and getting to know more members of the community, and many of them were out of the closet, I felt really inspired of being my own self. And actually, this is our slogan. At the IDB, you can be your true self. So I noticed there was no difference in treatment. All of them were respected, their voices were heard, their opinion was taken into account by management. And that made me think, well, I think that's my place. I want that for me. I want to be out. There is no need to hide anymore. And feeling safe and embraced by this environment, it gave me the strength I needed to come out of the closet as well. It was not like this since the beginning. It took some time. It was quite difficult, but I felt very safe and confident by taking this step. And I even became the Vice President of the IDB Globe. I cannot stress how amazing is this feeling. It allows me to focus on what is important, my work. I feel very fortunate not having to hide anymore, but I know this is not the reality everywhere. That's why this month is so important. The IDB Globe has been very active, especially this month, full of events, such as this one. Another one, sharing inspiring stories of LGBT employees in our intranet, recruiting LGBT talents, event that is going to take place next Monday here on LinkedIn as well. So please stay tuned, and many other initiatives. I know there is always many challenges to be overcome, but I can assure that the IDB is on the right track. And as Brett said, I'm also very proud of who I am. I'm very proud to work for the IDB and serve the IDB Globe as Vice President. So thank you everybody for joining us. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, André, very much for sharing with us. Now, Elizabeth, I know you have been a member of the IDB Globe as an ally for quite some time now. Tell us about your experiences so far and what and your take on how the IDB has evolved through the years, supporting the needs of the LGBTQ+ community.
Thank you, Carolina, for that question, and hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Bedoya Turner, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a senior advisor in the IDB's Office of the Executive Vice President. Carolina, I'm going to answer your question with a short story. In 2013, I began expanding my involvement on diversity matters beyond gender. And so I decided to join our LGBTQ+ resource group at the bank. And in order to do this, I thought that it was also important that I start using the correct terminology. So I asked the IDB Globe president at the time for some mentorship. And this was the beginning of a very beautiful relationship and learning experience that really flourished into a lot more. And as part of a challenge that the then mentor of mine asked me to join him was to join him in a DC 5K Pride Run, where we were the only two people representing the IDB. But then the following year, we recruited more people, and then there were 6 of us, and then 15. And finally, in 2019, which was the last year we were able to run together, there were 90 of us in that Pride Run. And this included staff, their families, board members, our executive vice president. And this is now part of our tradition. It's an experience I look forward to every single year because it makes us not only be part of our IDB community, but also we feel part of that extended DC community. So I really can't wait till we're able to run again, hopefully next year. And a second part of an answer to that question is really that diversity, equity, and inclusion is a journey. And it's been a journey for our society, and it's also been a journey for our organization in the same way. We've moved from days where only very few colleagues would self-identify as being LGBTQ+. But today, just listening to our two colleagues, Brett and Andre, people are really more comfortable coming out and being their true selves at work and sharing their sexual orientation. And like Andres just mentioned, earlier this year, we did a video, last year we did a video about being out at the IDB group and what that really means. And this year, Professor Juliana Martinez from American University helped us observe International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. And during the month of June, we're flying these beautiful pride flags outside of our building. And if you're follow us on LinkedIn, you will see so many of our colleagues are posting those because we really are proud. And like Brett mentioned, our executive vice president yesterday sent out a beautiful message inviting all of us to use our pronouns, both when we introduce ourselves and in our signature. So this goes beyond, though, the things that make us feel good. It goes into the things that are impactful, like gender neutral parent leave policy that we approved in 2020. And also what Brett mentioned earlier, how we invite people of diverse groups to join us and apply for the bank. So yes, I've seen a gradual marked shift in our organization, and this makes me so very proud to be part of the IDB family. So Carolina, I'm going to switch roles a little bit and actually ask you a question. So I'm curious about your perspective of what a leader's responsibility and role is in fostering an environment where LGBTQ+ employees feel comfortable to be out in the workplace and embraced by their colleagues as they are.
Good. So I think before talking about the role of a leader, I would like to share the role as a colleague, as an employee of the bank. And I also share a bit of my experience. So I always had a lot of gay friends. For some reason, we connect very well, and I'm very happy because I have very good friends. And since I was very young, so I saw some of them struggling from the beginning, from finding out what was going on, like Brett said, to coming out of the closet, to telling their families, or to hiding from their families and having double lives. And so, and it taught me a lot of compassion, and also a lot about respect. And always struck with me, why is it so difficult, not from the perspective of the person, but why is it so difficult for others to accept? Like we should all be very respectful with others, and we should have an open mind. This is a basic respect to another human being, to whatever choices this person is making. But we are in a society, like Brett said, it goes only one way, and I think we face these difficulties with a lot of other topics. So when we are in an organization, so we do have the responsibility of being respectful, but as a leader, and if you want to be inspirational, which is your role, and the organization is trusting you to be in this position, I think there are a lot of values that we need to show to your team and to show to others in the organization. And especially in an organization like ours, which the purpose is to improve life, we need to start within. We need to start within. We need to be respectful and create leaders, and to create a safe environment, an environment that is not judgmental, with zero tolerance to any type of discrimination, any type, and create a psychological safe environment. Like I said, we leaders, they need to be inspired, and their words, their actions, more than their words, they mean much more. People pay attention. People in their teams, people in other teams, they pay attention in everything the leaders they do. Sometimes we don't even know, but we are inspiring positively or negatively. And again, in this organization, where we talk about gender equity, we talk about gender equality, we talk about so many things that we want our region to have, and we really need to start within. And if we don't see that, we should question these leaders. If these leaders' personal values are not reflected in the values of the organization, then we need to question, and even the person itself needs to question why this is not matching. But I think as a leader, I would say for others leaders, this is how I see. And as an organization, we also should be critical on seeing the personal values being reflected, aligned with the values of the organization. So this is an organization that embraces the LGBTQ community, as well as all the other groups, as Brett mentioned in the beginning. And we really want an environment where people can be who they are and can feel free to express themselves as they are. Good. So talking about contribution and effort and encouraging inclusivity, it's in the theme throughout the organization. So I want to conclude our LinkedIn Live and make sure we cover some questions from the audience. So Elizabeth, what words of encouragement would you share to support individuals in my team or in someone's team that wish to have a sense of belonging?
Well, first, kudos to whomever is asking the question for thinking about their team and the importance of belonging in the workplace. And let me temper my response with saying that the most important thing is to be safe. And we know that we can't necessarily bring our whole selves to work in every environment, and that only you know what your environment is and how open you can be. But having said that, I think a sense of belonging really goes hand in hand with how much of yourself you do bring to the workplace. I mean, for me to really be able to connect with Carolina, I really need to know who Carolina is. And for people to know who Elizabeth is, they need to know who she is. She's married, she's got 2 kids. What are their age groups? I mean, I bring myself to work, and maybe I'm one that exposes too much, but bringing myself to work, that means that the day I have to take off to go take a child somewhere, people understand where I'm coming from. So take as much as you can of yourself to the office so that people could really get to know you. And we all come with our strengths and our wrinkles, and that's what all makes us beautiful. So again, gauging by knowing how much each individual can do that and knowing that safety is important. I encourage you, the world is changing. We mentioned that earlier. And our workplaces are changing. And it's really up to us to take that little step forward to see how much more change we can bring. Thank you, Carolina.
Very good. So I noticed there is one, André, that you can answer. I think it's very good for you. So where should I start if I want to encourage my team to build an employee resource group like the IDB Globe?
Well, and that's a very good question. So I think if you wanna build an employee resource group in your company, I think the most important thing is find people with shared interests. So in the IDB, we are 4 of us. Definitely, we could have more, but the first step, I guess, it's find your shared interests. So then you can define your ERG mission, the scope, the goals, the long-term, and the short-term and long-term goals. I think that's very important. And third, I guess it's very important to advertise your ERG, and then you can start recruiting members. So people that was not aware of this new group can become aware that you are creating this and you're sharing interests. And I wouldn't say lastly, but I guess the next step is to find somebody to help you out, somebody from maybe management, upper management, so then you can have your voice heard in the upper management as well. I think that's very important. So I guess taking these 3 or 4 steps, it's a really good way to start off.
Thank you. Thank you. I see a good one here for me. What resources are available that you believe can help educate others in the HR department about the importance of inclusive policies? Elizabeth brought a very important phrase, which is I think we are in a journey. I think we are in a journey with no end. We will be building now with the information we have, and there's always going to be something new and something different for us to look at. In terms of reinforcing the human resources team, I think first, like I said, I think HR, it's a window for other departments. So all the aspects that I mentioned before in terms of zero tolerance to discrimination, being a safe environment when people come and talk to HR, be inspirational in showing that we really doing what we and we reflect in our policies what we're saying we are doing, and also support the groups and embrace the diversity, equity, and inclusion in the organization. So educate people, it's important, have an open communication, be open to what are the trends in the market, try to bring an influence senior management. We, like Elizabeth said, again, in the beginning of last year, we implemented the gender neutral parental leave. So all of these have the leadership in HR and also the leadership in the organization looking into what is out there and try to be in a vanguard in these topics in the market. It's not always easy. Sometimes you will encounter some more conservative minds on the way. And I think in our responsibility is really to influence, but be the one, be the champions, be the allies, and open the door, be open to the resources groups, to what they bring, to what is out there. So I think that would be key for any member any professional in a human resources department, and also someone that is looking for a career in this department. You need to be with your eyes very open and your ears even more to what is going on and what are the employees asking for. Brett, what are some spaces at work that I can step up as an ally to LGBTQ plus colleagues?
Thanks, Kalina, and thanks for the question, whoever asked it. You know, this is something that is really interesting and kind of exciting to me, because my personal approach to this is something very informal, kind of very organic. And you know, what I can do and what I would encourage people to do gets back to what Elizabeth was saying, and that is knowing that you are in a safe place to be your authentic self, and then making yourself vulnerable enough to share your story with others in a way that they know and can find those aspects of your background, your history, your experiences that connect to them, whether it be as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or being a working mom, or being a white guy from the South, or being of the Afro-descendant group. I mean, tell your story, make yourself known, share. And it's amazing, though, those connections that start to happen without it being an effort. In my daily work, when I meet people, when I have a problem at work, making those little connections and pulling those little stories out of your life that help somebody work through the challenge they're having with a colleague, or meeting a deadline, or the pressures of work-life balance. All these things, it's really, and I'm talking about this very casually, but it's kind of my advice of opening yourself up, talking about yourself. And it's amazing then what that attracts and people feel comfortable coming. Oh, Brett, you mentioned this in this meeting. Can we talk a little more about? So that's where I see a real opportunity, and those are things that are available to everyone. Every person, if they're comfortable, can share.
Thank you. So before we close, I just want to highlight that our institutional and individual commitment goes beyond this month. As we have seen and heard today, allyship is an everyday action, and each of us has an individual responsibility to create an inclusive work environment for our LGBTQ+ colleagues. I want to close this Dentro del Beat by thanking all the speakers and all the team behind this initiative. It was a hard work. And to all of you watching, stay tuned for all the events we will be having this month and the months to come. Also, I want to remind you that there are many opportunities to work with us. If you, like us, want to make a difference in the region, please visit our careers website. So thank you all, and stay tuned for the next Dentro del Beat Inside Beat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.